So as I was watching the Sixers-Thunder game last night, I had this moment where I was like, has Ben Simmons actually gotten any better since, I guess, his rookie season? Defensively, he probably has, but, offense is the main shtick here. So, obviously the team is not built around him beautifully. Like, they're trying to make it work with Ben and Embiid. And, you do with what you can there, but that is, of course, the situation we're in. I mean, if Ben was just around shooters and he was the primary guy, then his numbers would be looking better. But up to this point in the season, he's averaging 14, 7, and 6. So take that for what you will. The thing that is noticeable for me is the amount of times where it seems like Ben Simmons is just kind of floating around, not really doing anything in the offense. And some of that is on Brett Brown, no doubt. And, again, the spacing is not going to be beautiful every possession, but it's not like it's never there, even with Embiid in the game, right? For Ben to attack the basket besides just in transition. Now, whether that means more post-ups or more ISOs for Ben Simmons, I don't really know. I mean, if you look at those things at NBA.com, they tell me that he's been posting up like 2 to 3 times a game up to this point, whatever NBA.com technically considers to be a post-up. Now, has he been successful? Have they been successful with that? No, not really. He's currently in the 5th percentile of post-up players. A Ben Simmons post-up is like 0.5 points a possession. But even so, I think there's potential there. The dude's clearly an awesome passer, and you'd think that he could bully some guys into the paint, but I don't know. Maybe it's not fair to expect him to be a post-up guy. Maybe he just needs to kind of figure it out, and I don't know. But I would like to see them try that a little more often. In terms of ISOs, he is not ISO'd enough to register as being in that NBA.com database, so there you go. I think that's your answer. Can Ben Simmons be any sort of an ISO player? Not like top of the key type of thing, but can you give it to him from 15 feet and then just hope that he can create something? I don't know. I mean, even then, it's not going to be like an MJ ISO where the other dudes are just standing on the other side of the floor, but could there be some potential there where Brett Brown says to Ben, all right, listen, Ben, we're going to give you the ball right now and just figure out a way to score, all right? Maybe you need to do that. I don't know. In terms of off-ball things, Ben Simmons has been cutting about 3 times a game, and the numbers are excellent in those. He's in the 80th percentile of players who cut to the rim, and he's averaging about 2 screen assists per game. So there is some other things going on, but I feel like you might have to have him doing those things on every single possession, because I just think he can be great. I mean, he's the 6'10" athletic dude who can dribble and pass. The dude can be a super Draymond for you, where he just screens for whoever, Tobias, Richardson, anybody, really. He could screen for Horford, you could try something like that out. And I think there's a lot of potential there. And then hopefully if he can convert post-ups, whether it's from him scoring or just getting a pass off to somebody else, that could do a lot. And then when Embiid is not in the game, you could just have more simple Ben Simmons, Horford, 2-man game stuff. Because Horford and Simmons have actually had a really good net rating. It's been positive 7. Now, I don't want to read into that stuff too much because I think Ben's individual performance is more important than their on-off numbers, especially in the regular season where sometimes you're going to be facing bad teams and stuff like that. But I think that is a nice sign nonetheless. And Horford has been a little more reckless from 3, which could be good or bad. He's been bad on his mid-range, which is a little alarming because he's been amazing at that for years, so I don't know. I'm about to hit 5 minutes, and I basically said everything I want to say about Ben Simmons. I guess we can just move on to Philly in general now. They're 7-4. They came out of the gates 5-0. A couple close games here and there, but, that's going to happen, of course. I think they're fine, honestly. I don't think anybody expected this offense to look great out of the jump. I mean, this is the new version of trust the process. Now, the defensive rating being 11th may be scary. I mean, Embiid has not played every game. And I mean, he's basically the make it or break it point of this defense. Now, they've had some lineups with Horford and no Embiid that have been great defensively, others that have not been as good. I think they're going to get those things sorted out. Even if we can question how good of a coach Brett Brown is, he's got to have access to lineup data. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I'm not too concerned with Philly at large. I mean, I am, but I am within the context of, like, let's see what it looks like in the playoffs. I'm not freaked out 10 games into the regular season where I was expecting their offense to be kind of weird all year anyway. So if we get to, I don't know, if we get to like the 50th game of the year and Ben Simmons is still kind of floating around, not really knowing what to do in this offense besides his transition opportunities, then I'm going to be a little more scared. Because again, like we can get lost in lineup data, and I did. I was even looking at Ben Simmons' like per 36 numbers with Horford on the floor versus Horford not on the floor. And then I realized, what the hell am I doing? Okay. Ben Simmons needs to be awesome for this team to get to where they want to get to. He's of course not the only thing between Tobias, Richardson, some sort of shooting off the bench which could be Korkmaz and other dudes. Also, Kyle O'Quinn has become a guy who like matters a little bit. Whenever I turn on the Sixers games, Kyle O'Quinn's always in there. But Ben he's the second most important player on this team. The fact that it's arguable about whether he's been the second best player is probably all we need to know. So anyway, more aggressiveness from Ben even when Embiid is in the game. And just more stuff, more cutting, more attacking the boards. I mean, the guy is, he's got 1.5 offensive rebounds right now. I know Embiid is on this team. I know Horford's on the team. I feel like Ben can get more than that. And then the cutting, the screen setting. And I really hope Ben Simmons doesn't suck as a post-up player. Because if he does, then a lot of this is thrown out of whack. Because then he can't attack switches. So hopefully he's got that down. And I mean, I'll tack this on at the end of the video. This is jumping the gun quite a lot, but I have seen it suggested on the internet that the Sixers should explore trading Ben Simmons with the idea of, the fit, Embiid is the better player, all that stuff. I mean, you'd have to be pretty confident that Embiid's going to hold up for his whole career, which maybe you can, maybe you can't, whatever. But to me, if that was ever going to be a thing, I feel like bare minimum, the Sixers would have to give it one more playoff run and then probably take it to the trade deadline of next season. Because if you were really going to move Ben Simmons, you would have to be so comfortable with that. Because if you gave up a dude with this much potential and it did not go well, I mean, that could be their version of the James Harden trade, where you had this thing and you gave up on it too early. Now, at the same time, you would definitely get something back for Ben Simmons. So if you're able to get some 25-point scoring, 3-point shooting guard, sorry to Wizards fans, but Bradley Beal can still be traded after this season, then maybe it'd be a little easier of a decision to make. But a lot of things need to happen before that even remotely becomes a thing that we should even consider being a possibility. So until that potentially happens, or maybe never happens, they got to figure it out with what they got. So some of it's on Brett Brown, some of it's on Ben Simmons, and hopefully they figure it out.